Hello, I'm the FanFic Critic. I read it, you listen. Well, it didn't take long for episode 103 to get here, now did it? Funny fact, this episode is exactly 100 episodes after the first review I've done of a Hammohamster story. And that story being a special Truce, AVGN versus Nostalgia Critic SLASH. So it's kind of funny that 100 episodes later I'll be reviewing the sequel to that story. Was a sequel necessary? No. Was the original story necessary? No. And yet they exist. Oh, jeez. Well, today's fanfic is called Never Meant to Be, Irate Gamer AVGN / Oh wow, look at that. There's a typo in the title. There's no space between gamer and AVGN. That is just showing me how great this story is going to be. It's rated T. It's in English. It's romance angst. It's Nostalgia Critic and it has 2 reviews. That's right. Now there's a web show section of fanfiction.net. And unfortunately, Nostalgia Critic is one of the characters. Someone please shoot me. Let's start by reading the author's note. A/N, number 1, fuck you. Number 1, fuck you? Wow. Hammohamster, you're such a charming person, aren't you? What a great way to greet someone. Well, guess what? Fuck you too. If you don't like that I'm making a sequel to the special Truce story, then get bent. No, thank you. I'd like to keep my virginity as long as possible, thank you very much. I like the storyline, and nothing you say will persuade me otherwise. Oh, trust me. I've tried to persuade you, and you just won't listen. And I know you've been watching the show. Number 2, I am in a bad mood, so watch what you say. Are you threatening your readers? You know, Hammohamster, you could get in serious trouble for doing this. So I suggest that if you are watching this, that you change that author's note before someone reports you for threatening them. Number 3, I decided to add the Irate Gamer and IGSRJ to the story. Well, we kind of figured Irate Gamer, seeing he is in the title of the story. Whether you like it or not. What are you, 3? I think it would be kawaii if they both kissed. So there. Yes, I guess you must be 3. I mean, who speaks like this in real life? And you're supposed to be a college student, for God's sake. Anyway, I hope you can all enjoy this. Admittedly, this took only an hour to write, so it's a little short. Sorry. That's fine by me, sweetie. XXXXXXXXXXX. Yes, they're taking tips from the writer of My Immortal. Watching from afar, the irate gamer watched the angry video game nerd and the Nostalgia Critic make out. He can feel his heart sink as his one true love, James, kissed another man. The nerd and Nostalgia. Nostalgia. Are you seriously going to have that be the nickname for the Nostalgia Critic? I think, Hammohamster, you're the only person who calls him Nostalgia. Other people call him Nostalgia Critic, NC, or just Critic. No one else calls him Nostalgia but you. I mean, that would be like if I went around calling myself Fanfic. You want to know how stupid that sounds? It sounds very stupid. And hearing him being called Nostalgia is just dumb. So change it. And Nostalgia Critic have been lovers for over 2 years now, and they were so happy together. That's right. There's like a 2-year gap between the original story and this story. Because the original story was written back in 2008, like late 2008, and this was written in the very, very, very beginning of 2011. They didn't care who saw them kiss, not even fatties who wear stupid hats or mega ugly cunts who dresses as the nostalgia critic who seem to think their love is gross. IG was very proud that they are not ashamed of their homosexuality, but he was also hurting. He loved James. He loved him for a while, and he knew he will never have him. Oh God, thought the irate gamer, as he saw the angry video game nerd's hand slip down Nostalgia Critic's pants. Why must they do this in public? He looked away as he stared at his double whooper, don't you mean double whopper, as he reminisced about that night with James. I have to pause for a minute. So, judging by the name of the sandwich, we are to assume that the irate gamer, the nostalgia critic, and the angry video game nerd are all at a Burger King, and that the angry video game nerd is reaching his hand down the nostalgia critic's pants in a public restaurant where there's children around who could see them doing this. You want to know what would happen if this happened in real life? The angry video game nerd and the nostalgia critic would be hauled off to jail for indecent exposure. I hope to God neither of them find this sequel. It was January as I walked down the street. Wait a minute, wasn't this story in third person before, so why is it in first person all of a sudden? You can't just switch perspectives like that, people. You just can't. You can't. It's a no-no, so don't do it. I can't believe I'm hungry again, I thought. I was wearing a short-sleeved black shirt with a Pikachu on the front and camouflage shorts. Take a look at this. That's supposed to say camouflage, but clearly Hammohamster did not spell it right. In my right hand, I held a handful of games I purchased at a second time around store and a pack of gum. It was 7 p.m. and it was twilight out. May I ask why the T in Twilight is capitalized? Are you supposed to be referencing the Twilight movie? If you are, I don't know why you would be, but you should probably have that T not be capitalized because it shouldn't be. I looked around, lost in thought. I did notice that a group of teens have started to trail behind me. Wow, it's really cold out here. Okay, first of all, there should be an apostrophe S for the word it's. And secondly, wrong here. It should be H-E-R-E, not H-E-I-A-R, because H-E-A-R is for hearing, you know, with your ears. Was the last thing I thought until one of the teens behind me suddenly leapt in front of me. He was black and was much taller than me, don't you mean than me. He was wearing a black sweatshirt and Ed Hardy jeans. He looked at me like a Rottweiler ready to pounce. Where are you going, white boy? Take a look at this sentence here. Why is it written like that? I mean, I could kind of see having going, you know, be abbreviated because it's supposed to be the guy with the accent, but you don't need to misspell the words you and boy. Because, you know, it doesn't sound any different saying the letter U than it would say the word you, and the same for boy. I mean, seriously, spell things right. Then all of his friends, also black, started to surround me. So, Hammohamster, are you playing stereotypes here and making it look like that all black people are gangsters? Wow, you never cease to amaze me. They all wore the same exact attire, and I wondered if they were in a gang or something. Leave me alone, I said as sternly as possible. Okay, do not have dialogue in the middle of the paragraph. But I won't lie to you. I haven't been this scared in my life. The guy who confronted me first, don't you mean confronted me first, tilted his head to the side and started staring at my hand. Where I held my video games. Don't you mean where I held my video games? Ah, see you has something, summon for me. Shit, I thought. I knew walking down the street with PS3 games in my hand was a stupid idea. Oh, you can thank the stupid author of this stupid story for having this stupid plot point where the stupid idiot in the stupid story did not know how to properly conceal video games that he just bought from a store. And if you bought them from a store, wouldn't he have a bag to put them in? Because most of the time when you buy things from stores, they give you bags to put your bought items in. Where's the bag? Did it mysteriously disappear when you walked out of the store? I tucked the games under my shirt as I stood my ground. Well, maybe you should have tucked the games under your shirt when you left the store so then people like this wouldn't have noticed you and tried to steal them from you. Look, I have money. Please don't start any trouble. I gulped. Why is the G in gulped capitalized? I am an internet personality. I need these games for my show. I am an internet personality. I need these games for my show. Are you serious? Are you serious? Wow. Wow, that's probably the most stupidest thing I've ever seen. Oh, saying this would just encourage them to want to rob you. That would be like, okay, let's watch this scenario right here. La 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 la, walking down the street with my shiny new razor. La la la.
Hey, I want your shiny razor.
But I'm an internet personality. I need this thing for my show. Please don't harm me. Ah. See how stupid that was? See how stupid that was? That was stupid. That was dumb and that was stupid. Doesn't matter if you're an internet personality or if you're just some average Joe. People are going to rob you either way. In fact, saying something like that would just encourage them to. So let's continue to read. Who fucking cares? You better give me dem games, white boy, or you will be the one starting trouble. I swear I just lost 10 brain cells by reading that. The black guy said as he closed in toward me, he looked like this guy who used to tease me back in middle school, and I won't be surprised if it was him. And why was that relevant? I stepped back until I bumped into one of the guy's friends who was behind me. Of course he was behind you. How else would you bump into him? And he violently pushed me forward and I stopped when the first was only a foot away from the leader. I put up my fist and said, I know boxing. I can really kick your ass. Don't fuck with me, jerk. Oh, yes, that's real charming. You're acting all tough when a few seconds ago you were begging, saying, oh, I'm an internet personality. Please don't hurt me. I can beat you up. Ugh. That was a bad idea. Everyone laughed, and before I knew it, I was knocked to the ground by a right hook right to my jaw. Why am I not surprised? I felt my games pop from under my shirt onto, don't you mean on, to the sidewalk, and saw them reach as take it. Reach as take it. Maybe you should say, and saw them reach for it. I looked up at the guy who punched me, and he was grinning like a chimp. Now what, dog? And he laughed. I looked down, basking in my own self-hatred. Gah! Yelled one of the black guys. As I looked up and saw saw him fall to the ground. All of my attackers stopped and looked at the same time I did. We both saw a skinny man with glasses wearing a white button-down shirt and khaki. I smiled as I knew who he was. I wonder who it is! Is it A, the angry video game nerd, B, the nostalgia critic, or C, Fayless? Let's find out! Angry video game nerd, I squealed. Congratulations! Anyone who guessed A, angry video game nerd, wins a cookie for knowing the most obvious answer in the world. Here comes your cookie. The other guys were not pleased. Out of nowhere, the scrawny white boy came and kicked their comrade in the face. Who the fuck is this? Said the first guy who hit me. Leave him alone or you'll be sorry, said AVGN. I hadn't counted on I haven't counted how many of the guys were there were, but there were more people than he was. I'll be sorry? Man, fuck you. You know what? I've noticed the F-bomb being dropped a lot in this story. I just want to check and see what the rating is. Oh, well. This story is rated T. And I have seen several F-bombs in this story. Not to mention the word cunts in the beginning, referencing to those who dress like the Nostalgia Critic. So, Hammohamster, I think your story is in the wrong rating. It should be rated M, not rated T. I mean, you can get away with having one F-bomb in a T-rated story. But this story has several F-bombs in it. Not to mention that you have other really nasty words in here too. And it's also kind of violent so far. So this should be moved to the M section. You could also get in trouble for this too. Wow. You fail at the rating system. Let's continue. And the leader pounced at AVGN. AVGN jumped in the air and did a spinning kick in the thug's face. He borrowed that from Sailor Moon, knocking him out cold. Wow, how predictable. The thug's friend stepped back as AVGN landed right next to me. He took his finger and pushed his glasses up and he looked at me. Are you all right? I nod. I never noticed before, but AVGN was beautiful. That's why I rip him off. My heart soared. He lifted me up. Oh, how romantic. Come on, let's go. And we started to flee. One of the black guys started shooting. Whoa. Are you to tell me that they had a gun the entire time? So they could have used this gun when the angry video game nerd showed up? Hey, leave him up. In all honesty, if they had a gun the entire time, why didn't they use it? Let's continue. But we ducked behind a parked car. A police car happens to drive by and saw us. So the car has eyes. It must be a descendant of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Then they saw the guy shooting at us and the policeman called for backup, started shooting at the thugs. That was missing a couple words. It should, well, maybe one word. The word and. There was a massive shootout between the police and the thugs. The leader shot his load on the policeman's face, killing him. But luckily we escaped so we didn't have to watch any of it. Wow, you guys are both douchebags. This cop pretty much comes and saves your asses. He ends up getting killed for it and you're like, oh, well, we're glad we escaped because we didn't want to watch any of it. You disgust me. Only when we were down the street and safe from the bullets did I notice AVGN's hand on mine. I blushed and suddenly felt warm. He panted for a second, then turned to me, releasing my hand. Are you okay, Irate Gamer? Yes, hold on. For a second. He knows about the Irate Gamer in this story? Why am I not surprised? In fact, in real life, he probably knows of the Irate Gamer, except I don't think he's all buddy-buddy with him. He probably doesn't like him, seeing he's a blatant ripoff of the guy. I managed to say, James was so beautiful. I couldn't help but staring. Good. I saw those guys walking behind you and I knew they were up to no good. I couldn't let a fellow personality get served. So he only saved him because he was an internet personality? So say if he wasn't an internet personality, would the angry video game nerd just allow some innocent person to be mugged by a bunch of gangsters? Wow, how charming. James start walking. It should say James started to walk. Or James started walking. Come on, let's go to my place and fix you up. I blushed hard at the thought of going into James' place. I was surprised of how close it was to my place. Oh, how convenient. They live right near each other. In the last story, AVGN's hotel room was right down the hall from the Nostalgia Critic's room. How convenient. Wow. It's just so convenient. It's like if Morgan Ledger from Vaulting only lived a few towns away from me. Oh wait, he does. Okay, let's get back to the story. And I'm being serious about that. I wanted to make a suggestion that we should visit each other more often, but that idea slipped from my mind. I entered his place of residence and was greeted with the smell of lavender and rolling rock. Want a beer? James said as he sits me down on his couch. Yes, I would, thank you. James hands him a rolling rock. Wow, this is heavily reminding me of the first story. Irate Gamer had a side thought. Wait, hold on a minute. In the last paragraph, it was in first person. And now we're going back to third person. You can't just do that, you dipshit. You can't do that. Either stick with first person or stick with third person. Do not switch between the two. Jesus Christ. Irate Gamer had a side thought that he almost forgot. By the way, Hammohamster, you do not need hyphens in that little segment of words there. By the way is 3 words. It's not separated by hyphens. It is not. So get rid of them. By the way, you won't by any chance have something to eat, would you? Oh yes, I was making dinner actually. It should be done by now. Are you telling me that the angry video game nerd could put food in his oven and left his house so he could save the Irate Gamer's ass from being mugged? Is James an idiot? No one leaves cooking food in an oven unattended, let alone leaving the house. What an idiot. You're just asking for your house to get burned down by doing something like that. A more realistic outcome to this story would be when the angry video game nerd and Irate Gamer come to AVGN's house. It's revealed that the place burned down because AVGN was too much of a freaking dipshit to not take the food out of the oven before he left. And be grateful that with this new camera I can't get as close as I used to with this camera, because trust me, if it was the old camera, I would be this close. I almost rushed into the kitchen. In the oven was 2 hot dog pizzas. James took them out and had to remind me to wait until it was cool because Irate Gamer does not know the difference between hot and cold. They sat and talked. Oh my God, it switched again. For most of this paragraph, it was first person, and then the last sentence it says they sat and talked. Actually, I wanted to make an ET video game review, but I figured that it was something that would have to wait. I mean, it's the worst game ever made. It is going to have to be reviewed in a special episode, says James. And by the way, they did it again! I love your review of that game. How convenient. I blushed. Really? Yeah, it's funny. I have to find a way to top that. So is Hammohamster trying to imply that Irate Gamer is as good as the Nostalgia Critic when it comes to reviewing games? In all honesty, I've never watched Irate Gamer, but from what I've heard from people, it sounds like he sucks at reviewing games. Even if he wasn't trying to purposely rip off the Nostalgia Critic, it sounds like he sucks at it, that he doesn't actually review the games. But then again, I haven't watched him for myself, and to be honest with you, I don't plan to anytime soon. James got up and took out some plates. I didn't notice that he brought 3 plates to the table. He was too happy that James complimented him. Stop switching between first person and third person. It seems more sporadic now. Before it was like one paragraph and then like a few paragraphs later it would switch, and now it's like every other sentence. Stop doing it. And to think this was written after Sonic's last one-night stand. And that had better grammar than this story has so far. I think it would be a good idea if you freshen up. You were on the ground and there was blood on your face. I looked at my reflection on my plate and saw that there was dried blood on my lip. No shit, he just told you there was blood on your face, so why did you have to go and look and state the obvious? Hey, you have blood on your face. I do, I have to see if you're telling the truth. Oh, I guess you're right. Stupid. Probably from when the thug punched me. No, it just magically appeared. I thanked him again and went to the bathroom. In my reflection, after I washed my face, I studied my face. I squeezed pimples and blackheads, licking the residue. Thank you, Hammohamster. Thank you for that very gross visual. It's a good thing I wasn't eating something right at this moment, because if I was, I'd probably be puking right now. Looking into his medication. Take a look at this word, people. It would have been easier if you just put down medicine cabinet. I'm assuming that they were trying to put down medication cabinet, but most people call it a medicine cabinet. Either way, you failed at spelling the word. Medicacan? That's not a word, you bubblehead. Let's say it correctly. Looking into his medicine or medication cabinet, I found some aqua volva and splashed my face with it. I also washed my mouth with it. Okay, is aqua volva a mouthwash or is it something that you use for your face? If it's something that's supposed to be for your face, I highly doubt you can use it as a mouthwash. But I could be wrong. I also I picked my teeth and groomed my eyebrows. That is when I was sure I was sexy enough for James. I walked out with a stride of a pimp back to the kitchen. When I entered, my spirits was dropped completely. Don't get rid of the word was. It should say when I entered, comma, my spirits dropped completely. Oh, and instead of the word my, they have the word by. In my James were engaging. Don't you mean James was engaging his tongue in an epic battle with the nostalgia critics? Apparently he came home while I was in the bathroom. I never knew that these two were lovers. How could you not? Oh, whatever. The nostalgia critic playfully smacked the nerd's small ass as he grinds up against him. The nerd moaned in NC's mouth as he played with his sexy glasses. If I wasn't there, they would have started fucking each other right there on the dinner table with the nerd on the bottom taking it all. I ran out crying out the door and onto the street. I prayed for God to send I prayed for God for him to send a car to run over my head, crushing it as it drove off with blood and gore on its tire. I wanted to die. I kind of figured that by the last sentence that you wanted to die, saying you want your head to be run over by a car. Now, you see, if your head gets run over by a car, there's a good chance that you're not going to survive that, especially if your head exploded and all your guts is on the tire. No, you wouldn't survive that. So, of course, I'm going to assume that you wanted to die. I screamed and cried. For the first time I ever felt this way for someone, they were already in love with someone else. Well, you just met the guy, you dipshit. I hear a car coming and I thank the stars. But then it swerved to the side, missing me by a foot. The occupant of the car ran out and asked me if I was okay. Okay, should be okay, A-Y, not okay. I looked at him, but I couldn't see his face. His voice sounded very strange and he wore the same clothing as the angry video game nerd. Ah, yes, the angry video game nerd. The other angry video game nerd who you can't understand. He isn't really angry. And yeah. I should have seen this coming. I looked down. His clothes reminded me of my love. Yes. Yes, I'm okay. I took his hand. XXXXXXXXX. Irate Gamer sat and continued to watch the nerd and the critic kiss, wishing he was in the critic's place. Okay, first of all, nerd and critic, The first letters in those names should be capitalized because they're names. Secondly, the W in wishing should not be capitalized because it's not the beginning of a sentence or a name. And finally, it switched again from first to third. He is so lucky. Just then, arms wrapped around IG, holding him close. It was IGSRJ, his new lover. It was him who was in the car. Let's go, baby. IG and IGSRJ have been dating for a little while now, and it was evident that IGSRJ was in love with IG. I'm sorry I can't love you like you love me, thought IG as he stood up and emptily hugged him back. He kissed him romantically and thought, I'm such an idiot. Okay, baby, let's go. And IG and IGSRJ walked off hand in hand. I'll get over it. The end. La 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 la. Oh wait, I should turn this on first. Ah, that's more like it. La 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 la. Yes, you're probably wondering why I'm alive. I know, the Dragon Balls can only bring you back once, but that's the Earth Dragon Balls. I now have Namek Dragon Balls, and Susan used them to bring me back. She's out for a moment, so I pretty much snuck back in here so I could continue the review. I don't have my razor or phase pistol, so I can't do that again. So let's get on with the actual critique. Okay, let's talk about this story. Okay, first of all, I wonder what Irate Gamer thinks of this. I wonder what he thinks of this. I'm sure in reality he probably doesn't particularly care about the angry video game nerd. So I wonder how he feels that this little person on fanfiction.net called Hammohamster wrote a fanfic about him being gay. I wonder how he feels about that. In fact, I wonder how the angry video game nerd and the nostalgia critic feel about that. I'm sure they're not very happy. In fact, anyone who shows up in Hammohamster stories are probably not happy. Because Hammohamster has this fetish with making real people in real life gay. And then their excuse is, oh, it's an alternate reality, so they're not really gay, so I can get away with writing fanfics about real people because it's an alternate universe. Well, guess what? It doesn't matter if it's an alternate universe because it's still not right. It is not right. You cannot do that. You can't. You really can't. So, with this story in particular, first of all, guess what? The grammar was awful. It wasn't as bad as past stories, I have to admit. You know, when I first reviewed the original AVGN versus Nostalgia Critic Slash, I was in episode 3 of FanFic Critic. So of course back then that was probably the most grammatical bad fanfic I've ever read. But I've read worse, much worse since then. And this fanfic is actually not that bad compared to others. But it's still pretty bad. Especially when you keep on switching perspectives. You cannot keep on switching between first person and third person. Why? Because it's annoying and it confuses the reader. It seriously does. It does. So don't do it. Secondly, Hammohamster, your author's note. Yes, that's a real good idea of you to tell your readers to fuck off. And I know why Hammohamster did this, because I have read the reviews for some of Hammohamster's stories. Let's just say for a meeting between friends, I was not the only one who was pissed off that Hammohamster wrote a story about real people. In fact, Hammohamster even sent me a private message, calling me a cunt. How mature of you, Hammohamster, how mature. And they even reviewed their own story, calling out all the people who were saying negative things. Pretty much calling them what they called me and saying other things. Eventually they took down those reviews, and then Hammohamster just added in the summary for the story, this is an alternate universe, so it's not about the real people. It's still about the real people. So when I saw this author's note and seeing that the author puts down fuck you to the readers, I'm not surprised. But still, Hammohamster, do you honestly expect people to not flame you when you have an author's note like this? You're just begging for it with this. I mean, let's read it again.
Number 1, fuck you. If you don't like that I'm making a sequel to special Truce story, then get bent. I like the storyline, and nothing you say will persuade me otherwise. So there. Number 2, I'm in a bad mood, so you better watch what you say, or I will hunt you down and kill you.
They didn't actually say that, but it kind of came across that way.
Number 3, I decided to add Irate Gamer and IGSRJ to the story, whether you like it or not. I think it would be kawaii if they both kissed. So there.
I mean, seriously. This looks like something a little child would write. And the sad thing is, Hammohamster is a college student. That's right. She, I'm assuming it's a she, is a college student. This is something I could picture maybe a middle schooler or a high schooler writing. Probably a high schooler, because I think it's all hip and cool to swear and stuff. But a college student? Seriously? Seriously. I know I haven't written fanfics in a while, but I know I can write better than this garbage in front of me right now. So, as a whole for this never meant to be story, it never should have been. Same with AVGN versus Critic SLASH. It never should have been. But the thing is, I'm not just going to rant about this story. No. Seeing I've read so many Hammohamster stories, I think I should go into a huge rant about Hammohamster herself and her stories that I have read. Let's look back. First with AVGN versus Critic SLASH. That story, out of all of her stories, has the most reviews. Why? Because it was also featured on thatguywiththeglasses.com. It was read by Bennett the Sage in his pilot episode for FanFic Critic Theater. FanFic Theater? Masterpiece Fanfic Theater. That's how it got popular. In fact, I think during like a live broadcast on thatguywiththeglasses.com, they read the story out loud. So this is why, this happened. Hammohamster probably liked the attention she was getting for this story, although she doesn't act like it, so she started to write more stories. I mean, the second story she wrote was A Meeting Between Friends, which was not long after AVGN versus Critic SLASH. That didn't get many reviews until Alianto reviewed it, and then that's when it started to get negative reviews. And after that, she just started writing more and more stories. And most of her stories are about real people. You see, the thing with Hammohamster, she acts like she gets offended by the reviews she gets, but something tells me that she actually enjoys it. You want to know why? Because she's a troll. She's an attention whore and she's a troll. She likes the attention she's getting for these stories. She likes pissing people off. And you want to know something? She's not really worth it. She's not really worth anyone's time. Because, this story right here just proves to me that she's desperate for attention. Now I want another AVGN versus Critic SLASH. I know, I'll write about the irate gamer and the angry video game nerd. That will get a lot of uproar. Well, guess what? For me, anyway, in my point in time, she only has 2 reviews up. 2 reviews. One of them being from me. And the other one being by someone who calls himself I'm an Idiot. So, I don't think she's going to be getting a huge following like she did with the other story. And if she does, I hope to God that it's a bunch of people putting her in her place. I don't know how many times I have to say this, but don't write stories about real people. It's against the rules of fanfiction.net. Whether it's in an alternate universe or not, you can't do it. And I know you could, seeing now there's a web shows category on fanfiction.net, I guess you could get away with writing fanfics about the Nostalgia Critic now, but this fanfic still violates that because you want to know why? She references to the angry video game nerd as James. James as in the real person James, not the angry video game nerd. Because in the angry video game nerd show, he doesn't call himself James, he calls himself the angry video game nerd. So, this story is still in violation of that rule. Like, say, if someone did decide to write a fanfic about me. If they wrote it about the FanFic Critic, that would probably be okay. But if they were to write one about Megan, which is who I am in real life, that would be a violation. And with Hammohamster writing fanfics about presidents of the United States, like George W. Bush and Barack Obama, that is a huge violation. Like Daniela Jackson writing fanfics about Michael Jackson's children wanting to fuck each other, that is a huge, huge, huge violation. Especially if it's in a personal way. Especially if you're writing them like this, turning them gay when they're not. The only fanfic that I read about a real person that I could actually tolerate was Gene and Siskel's... No. Gene and Siskel... That Siskel and Ebert fanfic that I read, that Daniel Locke wrote, that was the only fanfic I could tolerate about real people. Although I didn't really agree with it because it was about the real people, I could tolerate it because it wasn't personal about them. It was just a joke. It was like a little comedy sketch. That I could tolerate. But personal shit like this, where you're making someone gay when they're really straight in real life, and all this garbage, it's wrong, and it shouldn't be done. Now, Hammohamster, I know that you have been watching this show. So I'm going to say this one more time. Stop writing fanfics about real people. All you're doing is pissing people off. And do not use the excuse that it's in an alternate universe, because that excuse does not fly. If you want to write more stories about Sonic the Hedgehog being a douchebag, go right ahead, because at least those are legit fanfics. But stop writing fanfics like this. Stop writing fanfics like A Meeting Between Friends. Stop writing fanfics like The Ballad of Glenn and Barack. And stop writing fanfics about Sarah Palin. It's annoying, it's wrong, it's against the rules, and it's pissing people off. Now, unless you want your account to be removed from fanfiction.net, I suggest that you follow my advice, because eventually, Hammohamster, you're going to piss enough people off where they're going to start reporting your stories, and you want to know what happens if your stories get reported too much? You go bye-bye. Your account gets removed. Hasta la vista. Sayonara. Check on you later. Bye. So stop writing these stories. As for my other viewers who are watching this, I have had it up to here with Hammohamster. And I am hoping that today's review will be the last Hammohamster story I have to take a look at. Because something tells me that if I have to read another Hammohamster story, I'm gonna lose it completely. Well, I'm the FanFic Critic. I read it, you listen, and I should probably go back to bed so Susan doesn't get suspicious. Actually, I think she had the light off.